report. Good morning from CBC News. I'm Marcia Young. A chaotic scene is unfolding in Laval, Quebec. A city bus has crashed into a daycare. Emergency responders say at least 8 children have been injured, and they expect that number could rise. The bus driver is in police custody. The CBC's Justin Hayward is on the scene.
I'm standing in a playground about half a block from the daycare. I can't get any closer. Police, ambulances, and fire trucks are blocking the road, and there's a helicopter circulating overhead. I'm sure you can hear it. A police helicopter. Moments ago, someone who appeared to be a parent was seen running past the emergency vehicles toward the daycare. She had a look of deep fear on her face. Police waved her toward the daycare to talk to authorities there. Details are still slim, but what is known is one person, the driver of the bus, has been arrested. The mothers of children at the daycare have spoken with us. They've been able to get closer, and they call the scene there chaos. They describe injured children inside. They say the front facade of the daycare is destroyed. This is a quiet residential street, and it's far from the nearest bus route. Police are giving us few details about the incident so far or why the driver was arrested. Quebec Premier François Legault is calling this terrible, saying all his thoughts are with the parents, the children, and the employees. Justin Hayward, CBC News, Laval, Quebec.
And stay with CBC News for more as this story develops. Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet says he rejects any federal budget that includes this latest health care plan.
I hope, since our position is already clear, that the NDP will show some courage and act according to the fact that this is insufficient.
Canada's premiers say they are disappointed by the offer from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The 10-year deal is worth $196 billion. Our Janice McGregor is tracking reaction from our Parliamentary Bureau. Janice, what happens next?
Marcia, the premiers may have been hoping to start a negotiation here, but what they got yesterday was an announcement. Because how much the Canada Health Transfer increases or doesn't, well, it's not the premier's call. Here's their current chair, Manitoba Premier Heather Stephenson.
There wasn't a lot in the way of new funding, to say the least. I think we were a little disappointed at that.
It's not possible, though, for them to appeal the amount of money in this offer. So they may return to the Court of Public Opinion to argue that the problems in healthcare are the federal government's fault. But it's also possible it's pushing their luck to keep passing the buck. Conservative opposition critics yesterday continued to back the premiers on this, saying the reason the Trudeau government doesn't have more to invest in healthcare is that it had already spent the cupboard bare on other things. Meanwhile, though, New Democrats are skeptical there's enough safeguards in this plan to prevent more privatization.
In return, the Trudeau government says it wants proof this money is being spent wisely. What can you tell us about that?
Look, years from now, this is going to be judged not on who had their math right, but whether anything improved. And that's why Prime Minister Trudeau said yesterday there's a new push here for sharing more stats.
What gets measured gets done.
I mean, after all, if the new spending improves results, performance, well, that's the best argument of all for more resources down the road. But if it doesn't fix much, well, that's proof that the system's failures aren't really about money.
Thank you, Janice.
You're welcome.
This CBC's Janice McGregor in Ottawa. Some cheers and tears of joy as rescuers save a whole family in Syria. The search for survivors of Monday's earthquakes is becoming more intense. More than 11,000 people have been killed in Turkey and Syria. Crews are now facing a race against time to save others under collapsed buildings. The CBC's Chris Brown is watching one rescue effort in Adna, Turkey.
I'm standing right in front of a pulverized building that's collapsed in the city of Adana, one of 20 buildings in this city that have gone down. There's perhaps 200 rescuers on top of this pile of rubble, many of them using shovels, some of them using buckets. There's also heavy equipment, all trying to get below this rubble. They believe there could still be people alive, as incredible as that seems, after 2 nights, 2 freezing nights. Every so often there's a pause, everyone gets very quiet, they listen for noise, and they dig further. Unfortunately, as we've been here, the news has not been good. We've seen 3 bodies pulled out just a short time ago. They did call for another blanket. That could give you hope that there might be someone inside. We'll have to wait and see, but this is just a tiny example of what is happening all across Turkey and Syria right now. As I said, 20 buildings in this city, but across this area, upwards of 6,000 buildings have collapsed, with rescue and recovery operations like this happening. Chris Brown, CBC News, in Adana, Turkey.
Volodymyr Zelensky is on a surprise visit to Britain.
London has stood with Kiev since day one. From the fjord,
The Ukrainian president has just given an address to both houses of parliament, expressing his thanks for Britain's support in the war against Russia. Zelensky is facing a corruption scandal within his defense department. As the CBC's Murray Brewster reports from Kiev, it could have serious implications for international military aid.
Так, по маршруту у нас тут на обід сьогодні. Соляночка, нормально.
A Ukrainian soldier serving borscht for lunch at a field kitchen near the front. One of many videos of ordinary life in war that populate social media. It is army food, however, that is at the center of a political scandal here. The defense ministry has been accused, both in the media and by the security service, of being caught in an embezzlement scheme where public funds earmarked for the purchase of food for the army have been siphoned off. Calls to replace Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov, a familiar face in the West, have been long and loud for more than a week.
In this issue, we need to speak about political liability.
Alexander Musenko is a defense analyst and former advisor to the previous defense minister. He says the food scandal comes as the Ukrainian government tries to convince donor nations it can cleanly handle billions of dollars in Western aid, both military and humanitarian. Replacing Reznikov ahead of an expected Russian offensive this month and next week's Allied military aid conference appears to be a political non-starter, according to Musenko.
No, that's really no good time.
The scandal has cost several defense officials their jobs, yet Reznikov remains popular in Parliament where there is no clear consensus on whether to hold him accountable. Murray Brewster, CBC News, Kyiv.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor to present to you the President of the United States.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy sets a cordial tone for U.S. President Joe Biden's State of the Union address last night. But as the CBC's Katie Simpson reports from Washington, that did not last.
We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together.
For the majority of his speech, President Joe Biden spoke of his willingness to work with Republicans, but much of the substance of the evening was overshadowed by the bickering on the floor. Tensions exploded into a fiery exchange when Biden went after his opponents over the debt ceiling, accusing Republicans of taking the economy hostage.
I'm not saying it's a majority of you. Look, folks.
For better or for worse, that's the moment of the night. While it's not as dramatic as when Speaker Nancy Pelosi ripped up the speech of former President Donald Trump as she stood behind him, it's another sign that the tone of these events can end up being the takeaway. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Passengers on board a United Airlines flight are recounting the moment they realized their plane was on fire. It happened yesterday on a jet traveling from San Diego to New Jersey.
Probably about 10 minutes into the flight, I started to smell something really bad, and it just got worse and worse, and then it was clear that there was a lot of smoke.
The guy next to me, 2 seats over, started to scream. The guy in first class said, "Oh, God," and put his shirt up over his face, and then I saw a flash of fire.
Officials say a passenger's external battery pack caught fire shortly after takeoff. The plane returned to the San Diego airport where it was met by fire crews. 4 people were taken to hospital to be treated for smoke inhalation. And recapping our top story, at least 8 young children have been injured after a bus crashed into a daycare in Laval, Quebec. 1 person has been taken to hospital in serious condition. 1 man has been arrested. CBC News will continue to bring you any updates on this story as information becomes available. And that is the latest national and international news from...
That is the latest positive news. I was curious. I haven't listened to this crap for maybe a month and a half or something. In the past, I used to listen every single morning, and the thing is, I had to troubleshoot my depression. I had to figure out why I feel this way, why I'm looking for fixes here and there, why I'm looking for methods to find some happiness. And I realized, okay, something is poisoning my mind, but in a sneaky way. I didn't get it. So like it was like a slow poison, droplet by droplet, and I didn't know that. And guess what? I stopped listening to the news, and I stopped doing something else. And guess what? I found happiness. And it's weird. During the COVID, I listened a few times of this crap, and at first I freaked out. I thought, wow, I'm really concerned for my family, like especially someone in my family. About myself, I thought, I think I'll be okay. Then once I realized that they sell you fear, and it's a manipulated platform using this media contractors, which is, one is CBC and these other government-funded agencies, I stopped worrying, and I did not vaccinate it. I did not want it to vaccinate, and I thought, okay, you know what? It feels good by the contrast. So I see everyone freaking out, vaccinating, running around, double, triple washing stuff, and wearing masks. And myself, I feel like, oh yeah, I feel good, suckers. Really, that was the feel at the time. And even now I see people like, why the heck they wear masks? Probably they listen to the news, I don't know. So today I turn on the news to see, do they talk about COVID invasion again or something? Why people are wearing masks? I don't know. I didn't figure it out. And like a few months ago, I got one of those LinkedIn notification in my email, and I'm looking. It said, "Yeah, who's looking at your profile?" And I'm looking, CBC. Okay, CBC Canada. Why CBC would look at my profile? Because they don't need to hire people with my skills. Okay, and it says who, like what the position these people held, but they don't tell you this person type of position from this company. They mix it. It says, yeah, CBC Canada, then some other IT company, then some other stuff, and they said positions they are working in, and I'm looking some IT development stuff. I thought maybe one of my classmates from Europe working for that company, just looking around, see how other people are doing, like former classmates, because it happens. And salesman. Okay, so I thought, okay, might be a sales guy from CBC trying to get me in trouble. Otherwise, I don't see a reason such a person would check my LinkedIn profile. So, anyways, I'm saying again, listen to and pay attention to the keywords. So first, notice that they will not deliver positive news, anything constructive. Nothing is all about destruction. And guess what happens when you connect to destructive news? You go towards destruction. And you don't have to believe me. I posted another video, one of those psychics type of video. In the universe, They are programs of information. I call them energy programs, but energy is from our world. If you still think that we are made of matter, like material stuff, like hard stuff, liquid stuff, all those states of matter, yeah, probably you are still behind with your knowledge. Read about the latest knowledge about quantum field and other physics theories, and you learn what Tesla also said, that we are all energy. And I go deeper and I'm telling you, we are all information. Information, encoded information that makes up our so-called energy field or quantum field. But these programs are very, very sophisticated programs. And it's like we are in a simulation game, and other people still believe that theory, that we are all in a simulation. And yeah, you can call it simulation, but it's a world made up by a god or by a sort of a entity we cannot imagine how it looks like. And it's a powerful system. It's something we cannot imagine. And all this information, like let's say atoms are programs, atoms of rocks, programs containing programs or sub-programs of atoms. Then let's say hate, it's an emotion, is part of another set of programs. Distraction, it's a set of programs. Love, it's a set of programs that contains information about emotions, a state of mind, and all that connection. And if you think of certain information, let's say distraction, you actually tap into those information programs. And depends on how you connect to the world. Let's say if you are very good at connecting with people, very good at connecting with your workplace, like your connection power is strong, then likely you will attract more of that distraction when you think of distraction by listening to the news. Because when you listen to the news, you actually think of what they say. You need to process, otherwise it's just a music for your ear. But you listen to the news not because of the music. You listen to the news because it gives you a feeling, many times a state of emotional state that makes you want to listen again. And it could be fear, could be curiosity, or one of those. So listening to the news every morning, it connects you to the keywords they spread. And if you listen, one of the news, it says kids suffering. Then about the Turkey earthquake, a pulverized building is like making you think, wow, it's like a so powerful earthquake. It pulverized the building. It never happened like that. It's a building that fell down because of the poor structure. And you watch any earthquake news or pictures from one of those countries, including Nepal, they will tell you they build cheaply. And what do you expect? It's unfortunate that people die, but in the country I grew up in 1977, in 4 March 1977, 2,000 something people died. And why that? Because at the time the communist regime was already cutting costs on the buildings. All the buildings that were cheaply built, the government trying to save money to pay off the debt after the Second World War, those collapsed. And I remember that event very, very well. I felt the quake, but I was far away. I was like 600 kilometers away from the quake. So these people exaggerate. They use these keywords and they emphasize those words. And if you listen to every sentence, it contains these powerful keywords, just mix into something that makes sense. So they sell you fear. They poison your mind with the fears, and by allowing yourself to poison your mind with these keywords and this fear, you actually connect to that world. The keywords are part of. You connect to the program, the information program called fear. I mean, we call fear because we made up a name for our emotions, the way we feel. We need to describe that stuff. But in the information world, it's different. It's marked differently. We don't know how the creator marked that emotion. But as humans, we think that's fear. We think that's destruction. We think that explosion or a war or a killing. So we assign some names according to how we have some interpretation through our five senses and through our own reality. Okay, so the more you connect to something destructive, the more you will attract destruction to your life. And guess how many people died of COVID? Those who attracted the disease, who attracted fear, and they died of fear, not really because the virus killed them. The fear killed them from inside out, slowly, so they were weak and sick, and the COVID did the job. And they used the numbers to scare you even more. And I'm a good example. I did not get vaccinated, I did not live in fear, and I did not get sick. I never got sick. Maybe I got some sniffles at some point. It was a cold because I had cold feet. It was cold on my feet for a couple of days when the cold came in. That's it. One of my neighbors, he left in the morning, the same parking lot, almost hit a driver. The driver had a right of way. The driver honked loud and long, I mean. And I thought, oh, who is the guy? And now I see the van, and it's my neighbor. He is now driving like a redneck and is smiling. But the thing is, his wife is all bundled with layers of. So she uses mask one, but in the past she used two masks, and she's wearing gloves even these days when there's no more COVID, or maybe COVID is like a story of the past. But he is different. So he is smiling, he is having fun, he is driving like those rednecks, and I don't know, it's different attitude. Anyway, so stay away from the news, because they will not sell you anything good for your health, for your mental health. And if you don't believe me, check the latest info about suicides, mental illness, and addictions, and check in the last 2 years the number of overdose death. So if you don't believe me, and make the connection. And you may say, oh, it's the pandemic. Yes, it's the pandemic caused people overdose. The pandemic caused people kill themselves, right? The virus came and said, if you don't kill yourself, I'm going to kill you. I'll take care of you. So anyways, we'll let you go. I have work today. Bye-bye.